Hi everyone, welcome to the conference. My presentation is on humanizing asynchronous learning, measurable compassion in course design. This talk is specially designed for faculty who are interested in knowing how to create compassionate course design. Compassion is valued but rarely embedded as intentional, measurable course design. Learners often experience courses as impersonal and transactional, and design emphasizes content delivery over relational and cognitive support. The study examines compassion not as an individual teaching style, but as a design based intervention embedded within asynchronous courses. The goal is to clearly articulate the specific design elements through which compassion humanizes learning, such as clarity, presence, equity, and learners' agency, etc. By linking these elements to observable indicators of course quality and learner experience, the study moves beyond intention to accountability. Ultimately, the work contributes a scalable framework that can be applied across adult and professional education contexts without relying on instructor presence. The study employs a practice based inquiry approach informed by over 10 years of teaching asynchronous courses to adult learners. Insights emerged to sustain instructional design, iterative course refinement, and systematic pedagogical observation across multiple cohorts. Rather than formal data analysis, the inquiry draws on longitudinal professional experience to identify recurring patterns in how learners respond to compassionate design elements related to structural presence, flexibility, voice, and equity, etc. These are a few research questions for your quick reference. So, I would like to suggest this compassion framework for humanizing asynchronous education. This is divided into two parts, part 1 and 2, and the first slide is having 5 design compassion element and the next one is having the next 5. So what this slide shows is the compassion in asynchronous courses doesn't have to be accidental or personality driven, it can be designed. Each row highlights a different way we humanize the learning experience. Structural and cognitive compassion are about reducing confusion through clarity, scaffolding, and predictable rhythms. Relational compassion is how we show up through the presence, checking in, and feedback, even when we are not meeting live. Temporal compassion acknowledges that adult learners have real lives, so flexibility is built in without lowering expectation, and voice based compassion gives students space to connect learning to who they are and what they are experienced. Together, these choices may make asynchronous learning feel supportive, intentional, and human. In continuation, the second part of the framework builds on structure and clarity by expanding into a fuller range of human needs in asynchronous learning. Here, compassion is designed through agency and choice, equitable access, growth oriented feedback, attention to emotional load, and sustainability for both learners and faculty. Autonomy, supportive, and equitable compassion gives students meaningful ways to engage and express learning. Feedback compassion shifts the focus from error counting to improvement and psychological safety. Emotional load compassion recognizes that workload, tone, and expectation affect well being, and sustainable compassion ensures that a care is embedded in course design so humanizing practices remain scalable and supportive over time. Together, these elements show how compassion can be intentionally designed and not left to choice. This observation advances the design based approach to humanizing asynchronous learning by positioning compassion as an intentional and measurable pedagogical intervention rather than an instructor dependent disposition only. Drawing on sustained practice based inquiry with adult learners, the proposed framework demonstrates how compassionate design elements such as structural clarity, instructor presence, flexibility, learner voice, and equity, etc., support key humanizing parameters and quality indicators in asynchronous courses. By translating compassion into observable design practice, this work offers a scalable and sustainable pathway for enhancing learner experience, engagement, and persistence while maintaining academic rigor. Compassion, when embedded in course architecture, functions as a mechanism for educational quality rather than an effective add on. Thank you.